All right, the next fight we've got going on is Javid Basharat versus Victor Henry. Basharat looking for his fourth consecutive UFC win and to continue that undefeated run that he has to start his career. While Victor Henry now 23-6, 2-1 in the UFC. He's continuing to impress, beating Tony Gravely by split decision in his last fight. And he's somebody that can really get it done in a bunch of different ways. And he's traveled all over the world to be able to train, but he's really been a guy that's impressed and surprised throughout his career. And now he's going to get up against Basharat as a plus 400 dog. Basharat's up to minus 575. And he opened at minus 475. So while he's gotten some money on him, it's not like that number's ballooned to the same extent that Victoria Dudikova did, where it moved 300 points. Basharat, minus 575 for good reason. He can get it done wherever the fight goes. And granted, all of his UFC fights have come to decision, and he's looking to change that. But he has every tool in his toolbox to be able to finish this fight. He's a steady fighter. He's defensively minded, but can pick his shots very well. His footwork's fantastic. So he can move in and out and get in and out without taking too much damage. And loves to use his elbows. Andy, you know, and everyone will start or begin to know just how much I love fighters that make use of their elbows, because in tight and even at range a little bit, you can really hit some good strikes in the in-betweens and damage people with a part of your arm that just is a club, more or less. Cut people open, get them to start to bleed, etc. But this should be a hell of a fight. This should be a hell of a fight. And I expect Victor Henry to bring it to Basharat and force the fight out of him to where we're going to get finished. But Andy, where do you lean on this fight?
Yeah, so if I were just to pick it, I would say I'd go Basharat here. I think he has more methods of victory. However, I do think that this is going to be a little bit closer than what the odds say, especially when you look at two guys who have both had 3 fights in the UFC. They debuted around the same time here. Like, you can get Victor Henry at plus 425 on BetMGM right now. And I think having Basharat as the correct favored guy, or excuse me, I think he's the correctly favored guy here. But I think that Basharat name now carries some weight in the organization with him as brother, where there's a lot of hype around them in the MMA community. There's a lot of hype around them in the betting community, too. People love betting on these guys ever since they came in from Dana White Contender Series. And for good reason, right? I mean, I typically love to look into guys that come from a very reputable gym like Basharat does at Extreme Couture. I mean, you're talking about Strickland's, you're talking about Chris Curtis's of the world, Manel Kopp, Albazi, Ngannou. The names go on and on there. He's training with some of the best, and he's there local in Vegas, so he gets to use the UFC PI some as well, which is awesome. But I just feel like there is a world here where Henry is able to take advantage of being able to apply lots of pressure, which he loves to do. And I think Basharat may feed into that a bit, where he might fight a bit more off the back heel, which he's fine with. He's fine fighting on the back foot. It's not necessarily a disadvantage to him, but it does let Henry do a bit more of what he loves to do. I think that we do know a good bit about these guys, but at the same time, we don't yet. They only have had 3 fights, so if you're getting a guy at 4-1, and they both are still, like, after this fight, one of them's going to be ranked. So with that much on the line, where you're getting a ranked fight next, I'll go with the 4-1 for just like a quarter of a unit here on Victor Henry, just for the value. I think that it's really, really good value for what you're actually getting here. Which way are you leaning here? Because I feel like that minus 550 range is very tough to parlay. I really recommend people don't use that in parlays.
No, I'm like my play. I think Basharat wins this fight. I think he wins it fairly comfortably, and I think he wins it by knockout. I think that Henry's had a couple. I mean, the Asuncao fight that he lost, he was minus 400 in. The Barcelos fight that he won, he was plus 400 in. So him at long odds, underdog odds, has hit before. It's not to say that it couldn't here, but I like the under in this fight. I know I've picked it under a couple times, but under 2.5 is currently at plus 200. So fight not to go the distance, you're looking at plus 170. I think that we're going to get still a cautious, defensive-minded Basharat, but I think that he's going to want to implement a finish here. He hasn't gotten one yet in the UFC. People are sort of waiting on it, and this feels like the type of fight that he could definitely get that. I mean, Henry averages over 3 more strikes per minute than Basharat in the UFC career, but that can be attributed a lot to Basharat, 2 of Basharat's 3 fights being on the mat or implementing the clinch and takedown. So a little bit skewed there, but I think the under is a good bet for me, and I'll go with that. And on to the next fight, we've got Muhammad Yahya facing Trevor Peek at a lot closer odds. So we will see you there.